Hello and welcome to another optional extra video. Today we're taking a look at Chasm, and I'm Mitch, and joining me is Russell.
Sup?
Yeah, Chasm. It was a Kickstarter game like 5 years ago.
Might even be 6, like it's long.
It's been a long time, and we finally have it, and it's actually playable and fully released, and they did all that stuff. And to kind of say my first thoughts on it, it's sort of unremarkable. Is my first word I can think of that describes this game.
Unremarkable in the context of it's just like if you've been and done that.
I've been and done that, yeah. It's like if you played any Metroidvania, you come in here and it's like, yeah, it's like, what does it do that's special? And that is a question I've been trying to think of before we've started this, and the only few things that I can say that are like truly positive are that the graphics, they're really good. It's just like, they're getting really good at this pixel art style, and it's just...
Everyone's getting really good at the pixel art style and distinguishing each other, the pixel style from each other. Like, it's like, this game looks identifiable from this game, even though they all adapt the same pixel type style.
It certainly does look unique with how everything's shown off and how it's, like, it really gives you the idea of, like, this really is a good art style for this game. And, yeah, the art style's great, the music it's fine. You know, I wouldn't go like, wow, I can't believe it was like, it's no Ori and the Blind Forest with the soundtrack, and it's no Hollow Knight and soundtrack, and which is a part that's kind of hard for this game because it's released at a time, like when it was announced, it was like something different. We hadn't seen it with how it was going for like procedurally generated Symphony of the Night stuff. And now it's taken so long to come out that games have done that. That games have done what it was going to do special.
With it's like their own adapted style of storytelling, visuals, gameplay, where it seems like, from your description, like this is basically just Symphony of the Night.
It's got the backdash, you know how Alucard does the little backwards thing? Yeah, and it's sadly not the fastest way to travel, unlike Symphony of the Night where you can just go, I'm walking backwards. Sadly, that's not the way to do it. And the spells are very Symphony of the Night.
Yeah.
It's just like, you look at all the spells, like you got the axe.
The daggers, like, they're like spot for spot, like the same thing.
I would say avoid using the shuriken because it goes diagonally upward and misses everything, and it's pretty useless, to be honest. Yeah,
admittedly, under the context, it's just early days, right? You've only played a couple hours. It's not like what the endgame spells are.
I've played 2 hours. I have no idea what endgame is. It's just my kind of early impressions. I've beaten 2 bosses and so forth, so I've made a decent dent into the game. And yeah, for other parts of this game, the Symphony of the Night, the gear system, you've got pretty much the exact same slots, and for the most part they don't visually change anything on you, which...
They don't.
No, they don't.
It's crazy to me that they haven't got the visual change, because, yes, it's like the biggest thing is this is Symphony of the Night, it, like, borrowed from. And that was one of the cool things Symphony did, is like you swap your cloak and Alucard gets a new cloak. With the timeline on this, I'm really surprised actually that they haven't adapted some kind of visual swapping style for the...
There's a few other things that are baffling to me about this game. You know how in most Metroidvanias how it's just like you got the map in the top right, which gives you a basic idea. This doesn't have that. There's no map on screen. You have to go into the menu or hitting select to go straight to the map. There's no like small map right there in front of you, which to me is irritating. So you can't go at a glance like, okay, I want to go this way. It's just like you have to stop, pause it, go to the map, find out where you're going, and that's basically how you do it.
And on top of it, because it's procedurally generated, like, I guess you're not going to really know what it's going to look like.
No, I have no idea unless I look at the map in full. Like, to not have like a small indication of where stuff is in this kind of game annoys me, because it's like in Super Metroid, there's like, there's a green door, I can't open that yet. I've seen that on the map. Now I know I don't need to go that way. Like, you've discovered it or whatever. And this one, it's very like, you don't know, you have to look. I just don't like the idea of pausing gameplay to look at something that all the other ones show right there on screen.
It seems like, something that when you're designing something that's mimicking something else, you would go like, oh, these are the good elements, and we want to adapt the good elements or improve them. And it seems like they've cut out a feature that doesn't really make sense to cut it out, really. Like, that does sound very odd to me.
I mean, it's there, it's just not where you want it to be.
Not in the ideal situation, like, or even like a way to know what's like coming in. It's like, oh, I can see that I haven't been through this door because I can see it on the little mini map, as opposed to, as you said, wasting the frames, the time to open up the full thing and go, okay, now I can go to this part.
Yeah, and I'd say another part that's sort of irritating is how you traverse the map. Basically, there's a shortcut room that, while playing, you'll eventually unlock like a way back to it, but then there becomes multiple of those rooms, so you have to, because at the top of the map there's the town, which is where you can buy your upgrades, buy spells. There's a save point up there, which is the only easy accessible one. For the most part, they're only around boss rooms or just randomly spread out. There's not that many, so if you wish to save...
I was going to say, the village, is that a center point of the game, or is it like the start?
Yeah, it's a start and it's a center point,
okay.
So it's like, you want to head back up there because, as I said, there's a good save point up there, and you can upgrade all your stuff and buy more stuff, right, yeah. So it's very important. And so for the most part, if you die, you're heading back up there through all these shortcuts to get back. So if you die in a general area, that's not required for the, like, it's not near the boss, you'll have to go all the way back up, go back down, and head back in. And the same goes to like generic saving, and then you have to progress through it again, which starts to get very irritating.
Right, yeah. It's one of those things where, I don't know, maybe the procedural aspect is hurting it in the sense of, because it's only one of, like, maybe you can only tell, like, playing it multiple times, like, to see, like, how much the procedural matters, but it's possible that it's just got that, you know, No Man's Sky random aspect to it, where it's like, I don't really like this layout, and because of that, it's worse for it, as opposed to someone who's gone in and structured a game design that all works from the get-go.
To talk further into that, I've been in a room, gone in the next room, and that room was the same. That has happened.
Identical, like visually and everything.
Identical, yeah. The procedural generated, they are handcrafted.
Okay.
So if however it generates, it goes, alright, in this room, there's this room. It's just like, but that was the same as this one. It doesn't look like there's any real ways to their like algorithm or whatever that functions to get rid of it, does anything about it. And that's probably why there's so few save points, whereas because the boss, like the room before the boss, always has a save, so that's handmade, and the boss room's handmade. But before that, from the like main areas, it's all procedurally generated, and they're all connected, so they could be completely random. And if this was fully crafted, and I mean they've taken a long time, they probably at this rate could have done that, but I think it would have been better that way, because like when you talk about all these other games, it's like Hollow Knight, for example, is the best example to make. Is like these levels are handcrafted, they're put together themselves, they've decided from a gameplay standpoint of where they want things to be, not just like randomly generated, which in this game sort of hurts it.
It's one of those things where it's like, what you and me both like/love Rogue Legacy, and like what Rogue Legacy had the procedural generation, but I never felt the same way you're describing right now when you talk about Chasm. Like, why do you think Rogue Legacy worked with the procedural aspect as opposed to Chasm?
I think Rogue Legacy, like, the way they built it together, it was like, it wasn't as big. Like, the castle had multiple floors and stuff, but like, all of it combined wasn't that big. And Rogue Legacy had the really unique mechanic of the family system and the way it worked, because that was a roguelite. This one isn't a roguelite. This is just a game with procedural generation, so every run of Rogue Legacy, you could potentially have added some benefit and felt like you've done something to reward you, which is what all the good roguelites do, whereas this one is just straight up a normal one. So
it just feels like a slog, basically. You say, like, it's, you can see the procedural aspect to it, it's not handcrafted, it's not well made, but you're not getting that rewarding, quick experience of Rogue Legacy. It's like, I died after 10 minutes and I got this new upgrade and now I'm going again to be better and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and to talk about upgrades as well, like, they feel few and far between, because so far I've only found one, which is a grapple onto the like ledges, and that's all I've gotten.
Did you have to find it, or do you have to buy it?
Yeah, I had to find it. It was not after a boss. The bosses reward HP, but they don't reward a unique item to do something. As far as my knowledge goes, I think there's a double jump.
Right.
And there has to be some kind of crawl, because there's smaller things you can't quite fit through.
It's one of those things where it's like being a Metroidvania, like there is going to be some level of upgrades that'll grant you pass you couldn't get to earlier in the game. Like that's just how those games work.
Yeah, there's not too many good reasons to go back, other than obviously the game's later progression will require you to go back, I assume. And there's other weapons and items you can find, which I found 3 items, which is a sword, a long sword, and a like mace thing. And I know that for a fact there's a whip, which I wonder where they got that idea from.
I wonder, yeah.
The combat, which I haven't really spoken about, is very simple and clunky would be a word to describe it, because if you attack on the ground, right, and you press your swing button, there's a time after that where you can't move. So if you jump into it, it removes that completely. So it's just like, okay, have they overlooked this? Is this kind of broken, or is this the way you're meant to be doing it? Because jumping and attacking is far faster because the combat is pretty slow. The enemies attack back slowly, so you can kind of do this quick attack mid-air and move out of the way.
So did you feel that with the other weapons too?
Yeah, they do. They're all faster in the air. They're all slower on the ground. Where it just seems like a weird thing that they didn't think about, like how swing speed and stuff, and you can't use your backdash to like back out of an attack.
I was gonna say that's another thing where it's like in my mind I'm already comparing it to like Rogue Legacy. I'm like Rogue Legacy was like felt super good. Like you had the back off, the jumping pogo stick on enemies, like all that stuff was going on that always felt good. And then this, admittedly, the more you say about this game, the more I'm like going, oh, this might be worse than I really thought it was going to be. I thought it was gonna be great.
I thought it was gonna be great, and as far as I know, it's fine. Like there's nothing inherently wrong with it. It's just there are examples of games that are better in this space that are coming out this month, because this month is full of Metroidvanias.
What about the enemies and the bosses? Like, there's something exciting there, or are they kind of like very generic too?
They're very generic. You've got bats, you've got rats, you've got skeletons, you've got the first boss is like a werewolf. It's kind of cool. I actually do appreciate the bosses. Like, I haven't really said enough about the bosses because they have multiple phases. They're not easy. I mean, the combat's not good. The bosses are built around that combat, and they feel good. They don't feel bad in any shape or form. So that is a benefit. But for the most part, the enemies they are a threat. Like, they're always a threat because they hit pretty hard. So you're always being cautious about that. But for the most part, they're pretty samey. Like, you've seen them elsewhere. To kind of talk about this, the overall package of Chasm is that, for the most part, as I said at the start, it's pretty unremarkable, and the fact that it doesn't do anything the other games in the past haven't done. Yeah, it's got no new unique mechanics like Rogue Legacy. It doesn't have like the charm and like or in the Blind Forest, it doesn't have what Hollow Knight has, and all of them have brought something to the table, whereas this one brings you what you've played before.
It all sounds so disappointing to me to hear that, having not only just bought the game, I haven't got around to playing it if you haven't gathered at this point, and two, the fact it was 5-6 years, however long it's been, it's taken that long, kickstarted all the rest of it, and for them not to have just come up with something really special. Like, it just sounds like it's not bad by any means, right? Yeah, it's like, it's still good.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with it.
If you've played Castlevania, you've played you've played these games, you already know what to expect, and it just does nothing remarkable with it.
There are a few things wrong with it. I said there's nothing wrong. There was a few things I've spoken about those.
Yeah, we've spoken about those.
But yeah, it's not bad. It's just, it's not special, and I don't know. I guess this is mostly my opinion, so yours could be completely different. But
I mean, I'm just going off the trailers, and from the trailers, I'm like, yes. I liked all of it. So
I was looking forward to this game for years.
Hearing the context of you having played it now, it's like, I don't know now. I mean, I'm going to play it soon, and I'll find out. But yeah, it's disappointing. One final question: you got to finish it, Mitchell? I was like, no, I'm done.
I kind of feel like I get really into Metroidvanias no matter how good they are. So it's just like, I get heavily into that loop, and then I just kind of just keep playing and playing until I eventually win it. It's just like, that's just how I play these games. I will play it. I might just be complaining the whole way through. Yeah, that's basically my experience of Chasm. If you think I'm wrong, you can write down in the comments and say in all caps why I'm an idiot and didn't get any of this right. But thank you for coming on here and chatting with me about it. If you enjoyed this video, you know what to do. We'll see you hopefully on the next look at whatever that may be. So goodbye.